Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Dev Chat for August 29th, 2018. It's Thorn time! But before we get into that, I'm Will Hungerford, game developer at Privateer Press. This is Oz Schoonover, development manager at Privateer Press, and taken from his fresh baby to be here with you.
Fresh.
I'm pretty sure there's actually nothing fresh about babies.
Will Pagani,
They're
developer at Privateer Press.
permanently sticky.
Did you take your sunglasses off?
Dramatically.
I was hoping you left them on because also you had like the hangover thing going on from the movie. And if you had been wearing Asher on your chest, it'd have been perfect.
Would have been great.
So if you don't know what you're watching right now,
Someday.
we stream 3 times a week here at Privateer Press. Always at 10 a.m. Pacific on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Tuesdays is Weekly Rumble, where we get together and play games. Yesterday, Schick and I played Extreme Class Wrestling. Y'all have been playing a lot of Monster Apocalypse lately. Wednesdays is Developer Chat, where the development team comes and talks to you about whatever's going on with the games, such as today, talking about the launch of the Thorn CID. And Thursdays is Get Your Paint On with Dallas Kemp, our studio director. Is that his title?
Yes, however, tomorrow we'll be featuring Brendan Roy.
Brendan Roy, who's a phenomenal man with a fantastic beard. Get Your Paint On is all about the hobby, so tips and tricks on your hobbying, learn all kinds of cool techniques. Neat ways to mix paint, because there's a lot of that in the P3 line that works really well, so you can just like pick up a lot of information. It's a really zen show, so if you just want to chill out, that's a good one to watch. You can watch us live at twitch.tv/privateerpress. You can catch the videos afterwards on youtube.com/privateerpressprime. Speaking of being live, we will occasionally be looking with this huge monitor in front of us,
That doesn't make any
where everyone is talking. Yes, Oz?
No, we're having it.
We're mumbling.
You keep
You keep going. Let Oz and I mumble.
Just making sure everything's okay. Is everything okay over there?
Everything's
yeah,
great.
Just
I'm great.
yeah, it's fine. It's
great.
Just keep going.
We talk to you sometimes.
Yeah, we look over there, like I'm doing right now, and we get confused.
So before we get into it, there's a couple
Yeah.
models we need to go over and let everybody know about the limited time available on them. Obviously, the Supreme Guardian for Scorn is available for pre-order right now on Black Anchor Heavy Industries. You can go to store.privateerpress.com to order your Supreme Guardian. You do get the sweet Black Anchor patch if you pre-order, which goes on your denim jacket and makes you look tough. You have till
Denim
September.
vest. Come on, denim vest.
Sure, denim vest, denim jacket, whichever you want.
No sleeves.
September 10th to go pre-order him. So go make sure if you're a Scorn player or if you just like models that look good or you're thinking about starting Exalted,
You want to make a
store.privateerpress.com.
sweet terrain
Or
piece?
you just want to have some big giant statue terrain pieces,
Like a castle that has 2 of them on either side of the
Yep.
front gates.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
or like fallen ones that have been
God.
destroyed in earlier battles and pieces scattered
Beautiful.
around. Yeah,
there's
basing material.
There's so much you could do.
You could just use it for basing material.
I used a Mountain King as a base for a Fulcrum once.
I remember that actually.
Yeah.
It was pretty sweet.
That was huge.
Also, speaking of sweet models, the new mini crate cycle started up. So the first mini crate for this month is Lady Rose Riding Hood, special Grimkin Rose. She looks great, and if you join the 6-month subscription, the VIP model for this cycle, easily one of my favorite sculpts we've ever done. Alexia, Handmaiden of Death, a new Alexia one, very reminiscent of the original art that we ever saw done for her, and she's just fantastic. So you go to mini-crate.com and sign up today. You can either get Rose by herself, but why not just do the 6-month subscription and get yourself the Alexia, because
It's so good.
it's so good. So good. So that's all the introduction and news to talk about. Let's get right into what everyone is watching for.
Let's boogie.
Thorn CID time.
Oh, I thought I was telling baby stories.
We can talk about stories.
No, we'll do that at the end.
So,
Oh, okay.
Thorn CID started about an hour ago. You can go to cid.privateerpress.com to go take a look at the full rules PDF, join in, start doing battle reports, give us your feedback. This is going to run until September 19th, and then we'll finish our last round of internal testing and approval, and we'll be ready to boogie.
Someone who's been waiting a long time on the Tharn CID has announced that they are here.
Sabra,
Yes.
Beautiful.
one of our strongest circle champions. It's like
Really?
her, Chad, and Dan, right? And of course you.
Which Dan?
Yunt.
Oh, could have been Porter.
Could have been
I
anybody.
thought Porter was all about retribution these days.
Sure. Could have been, though.
Sure, it could have been.
Pagani's not existing in the same space-time as us right now.
So
I have
anyway,
slept
yeah,
3 hours in 20... Ooh, a lot.
Sabra's
of
here.
hours.
She's got her beanie on. Chad's here. He's super excited. So let's
Okay.
just jump into it, shall we?
Let's do that. Do you want to talk about the model that got like the least amount of changes? Like Pathfinder got added to a thing?
I think what we do is let's go through all the new
Very exciting,
models first, all the brand new models in this cycle, and then let's go through all the legacy models afterwards.
Excellent.
Let's do that.
Let's start with, obviously, one of my favorite things in a new cycle, a new Warlock, new Warcaster. It's always like the thing that catches your eye, right? Like there's so many new opportunities. So Iona the Unseen, people saw her concept art well over a year ago, right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
I think it was War Machine Weekend.
It was War Machine Weekend, you're
in
right.
November
And then
of last
I've
year.
seen the model. And so now you finally get to see the rules. So Circle Tharn Warlock, phenomenal Thorn Infantry caster, right? She is going to push the Tharn models to just a brand new level. On top of giving them all dodge, which is going to be just gross on blood trackers. Her feet, just a +3 strength and armor. And she just has a really cool spell list. She has a new spell that we actually tested out previously on some other casters years ago, and that's Abattoir. Abattoir's been in testing for
Abattoir.
Don't look at me. I haven't been here that
2,
long.
3 years, Oz? You know who it was on.
I don't remember.
Okay, we can't say because they're not being made anymore. But like, Abattoir's been around for a long time. And it's a really cool spell. I mean, it's basically melee.
Get out your speculation pants.
Yeah.
Hungerford's dropping bombs.
It was on that one model that we decided not to make.
It's on.
You're welcome.
It's basically melee broadsides, right? And I just think that's
Basically,
really
is.
cool. Like, there's so many opportunities you could do with that, and we've never seen anything like that, especially in Circle with all the
I think
war
you might be
balls.
imagining things. I can't remember.
I'll tell you exactly who
Well,
it
I
was
never
after
saw a
stream.
caster with
Okay,
it.
cool.
So,
Cool.
but what I will say is Abattoir.
CM. Anyway, go ahead.
Abattoir almost has as good of a name as Puissance.
Puissance!
So it's like it's up there in the
but
running.
now you're gonna make me sad because we lost a little puissance.
We
during
did.
this-
Yeah,
this
we
cycle.
changed that animus.
Sad,
on the-
sad, less puissance.
Oh,
The world needs more puissance.
So let's talk about Iona, shall
Okay.
we?
Yeah.
So first off, this feat is baller. +3 strength and armor, and you get to reroll attack rolls.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
just crazy. We know how good look at Damiano and what he's capable of doing, and now you're gonna get this on Tharn models. On top of the Tharn models already having the dodge,
Yeah.
and then you get she has so much sort of like buff stacking. She has Surefoot, phenomenal spell, just incredible spell. Hunter's Mark, which goes well with the Circle Beasts are fairly strong, especially with Abattoir.
Sure. I mean, it also works really great with just Ravagers, right?
Yeah, and then Phantasm to keep them safe for your models that are, maybe you want to send the Ravagers in, drop a Phantasm on. Like, I'm kind of worried, to be honest, that the stacking she has available is possibly a smidge too much, but that's what CID is for. Like, she's at the point we were ready to give her to everyone here for you to test. So if she went to print today, wouldn't be the end of the world. But I'm very interested to see people's battle reports and see their experiences with Iona and if they're able to find these combinations that push it just a little bit too much.
She's also a pretty big melee threat herself.
Especially on the feet turn.
Yeah. On that feet turn with overtake, she can do a bunch of work by herself. And Blood Boom gives her a free spell. Which
could be
murder a bunch of stuff. So yes,
Or
suddenly Abattoir goes off while she's murdering things. So that's cool.
She has a lot going on. We've seen a lot of casters like this recently. And they're always just you got to check all the angles, dot all the I's, cross all the T's.
One of the things I'm most concerned about though with her is Surefoot and the change to the male Tharn.
Sure.
To see if rapid healing on them and no knockdown tough becomes like
Possibly under +3 armor for a
crazy.
turn.
Yeah,
Sure.
becomes crazy and you just can't move any Tharn off the table at all during that. So
And herself, I mean, she's a 16-14 caster, but she has the stats that back up a 16-14 caster. She's speed 7. She's got parry, stealth, and dodge. Like, she is...
and preternatural reflexes, so she can't be combined and attacked.
And more importantly, if you're really worried about assassination against her, you can just Surefoot her.
Or Phantasm.
Huh?
Or Phantasm.
But if you're worried about a knockdown, like you see the slam angles coming or something like that, you just Surefoot her. Then she's def 18, no knockdown with all these other abilities. And like that's another thing to keep an eye on is how potent is she by herself in terms of being just a kind of an assassin that runs around the board and is untouchable.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. I like Phantasm on her card as well. That's my favorite thing on her. I really love it on like Wolf Riders and stuff. Because they can reposition away and then have Phantasm. So that's super dope.
Tell us about the Tharn Bloodweaver horror specs.
Somebody already said that it was amazing. I don't remember the chat has moved already.
The chat has moved around.
Yeah, so we've already got people excited about this model because it is doing something for an existing unit that's been around for a while.
Travis likes to point out that Hunter's Grace still exists in the Shaman, true, but she can run far past his range. She's incredibly speedy.
Well, I mean, with her feet and the +2 defense from Surefoot, right? Like, you get 15, 18 Tharn with
Yeah.
5 hit points, tough, and
Seems
Yeah.
seems pretty
healing.
solid. Seems
Yeah.
pretty
it's good.
solid.
It's real good. Is it too good? Probably not, but let's see.
Yeah, it's worth watching. Tell us about the horror specs.
Am I telling about the hard specs?
Yeah,
If you're specific right now. Okay.
Sure. If you're in the mood
Gotta be
for it.
specific.
You're maybe specific?
The hard specs is pretty sweet. We've actually spoiled the vast majority of what this model does. It advanced deploys, which is sweet. And then Sacred Ward, of course, is great. No spells. You can't scatter spells at the stealth unit and stuff. You can't debuff them. And then Divine Inspiration, granted all the time, is obviously, honestly, pretty crazy.
It's
Those
a little
things-
drum. Playing that little
That's
drum.
the inspiration.
Uh-huh.
The inspirational drum.
Yep.
Excellent.
No, it's a tiny drum. It's a little
It's
drum.
the Primecast drum.
It's a little drum, not a big drum.
But yeah, so that's super good. One of the things that I'm concerned about with this unit is they become like Mat 9, I think, maybe 8 with Gang, and then Divine Inspiration gives them incredibly high Mat, and then they go to POW 11 with Gang, and then once again Divine Inspiration. So like, this unit just does a lot.
Yeah. And they are included in this CID even though they did not get any changes.
Correct, yeah.
They're one of the, I think maybe the only thing included right now. They got 0 changes because this is a big, this model's a big deal. to change
Yes,
them
yeah.
up.
And you know, we like to include units like that because if we do come up with any changes that we do like, or people have some good ideas for stuff, we can run with that.
Or we want to move something from this onto the unit as a baseline and
Yeah,
switch
yeah,
some
yeah.
things around.
So they are up for discussion, even though they don't currently have any changes. Another
Yeah.
big change to this unit is from Devoursos Theme Force, which gives, I believe, 1 unit of them ambush.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I really want to check out with them. Like, is that cool? Is that going to be too much? They're speed 7, like they can really get in there. So,
Yep.
There's a couple comments in the chat right now. For example, Chad says, you know, maybe point cost 4 is a bit too much. Test it out, but honestly, we talked about the point cost for a while, and while it is a single model, a command attachment, it does so much for them.
It does.
Like, if you
It
look at,
does
I mean,
quite a
just
bit.
if you think about the things that you could add to a unit, a deployment benefit, spell immunity, and then signs importance, like that's tremendous. That's insane. So we're pretty happy with her at 4 points, but test her out. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Oz, since I had to be specific. Tell us about
What?
the Blood Shaman.
What?
Tell us about the Blood Shaman.
No, I'm going to keep passing things at Pagani.
but what about this guy? That's pretty sweet.
Whatever.
I like
Cool. Blood Shaman is a warlock attachment. Are we done?
Yes.
What happened? I'm confused.
I don't know what happened either.
Go on.
Okay, so the Blood Shaman is a warlock attachment. It's a combat solo to a certain extent because
Look at that concept art.
it is. It's pretty nice. It's a big spear. So she's still a combat solo. She still has Mat 7. She still has power plus strength 11 on her spear. So it's a spear. It has range 2. So she can get work done as a combat model. She has Battle Wizard too. So sometimes you want her to kill things. But then she has Harmonious Exaltation, Spell Slave, and Blood Sacrifice.
Blood Sacrifice is bonkers.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part of her, by far.
So Spell Slave, depending on the warlock you bring her with, it's going to have different amounts of usability.
I mean, we know-
also, Harmonious Exaltation is the same way. On certain warlocks, it'll be really, really good, and certain warlocks maybe won't get as much mileage out
Spell
of it.
Slave is interesting in Circle because you've had access since the beginning to things like Geomancy on the Wold. So other models being able to cast your spells is nothing new to Circle like it is from other factions. But at the same time, it's another independent resource that they throw these spells out there. So if you're playing, say, Chromac 1 and you want to have the extra rifts or something like that, like it's just another opportunity to get the spells out there. I expect the Krugers might end up using her to some degree, but we'll
Yeah.
see. I mean, it's a free TK if you need it.
Sure.
So.
But then Blood Sacrifice is a way to skew your dice odds. And
Yeah.
interesting. Like if you need something to work,
It's signs importance.
then you can put Signs Importance on a model.
And
It does cost you one of your own models,
Sure,
but
So-
it's usually worth it.
So you kill a blood tracker and you give, I don't know, Chromac 2 signs importance
Yeah.
for the turn.
Yeah.
Or a Stalker. That's
Yeah.
my favorite.
And so that's the Thor's Infantry is obviously the models will be able to make a lot of attacks. Your Chromacs, your Strong War Beast, your Gatorexes, your Stalkers,
Yeah.
things like that. Yeah, I mean, it's, like you said, a Stalker with Berserk is just going to go ham. So I'm actually slightly worried about Blood Sacrifice. I think it might be too strong, and I'm
Yeah.
interested to see what people do with it.
Yeah, and test it on the outlier models, the ones that are the biggest threats.
And Lord of the Feast is great with the 2, like,
Yeah.
driving. all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So, yeah.
So let's move on to Bridge and Call. This is the character two-person unit, brother and sister. You've got basically the male Ravager style, just the big, huge guy, and then you've got Call. So the two styles of Tharn.
Call is the dude.
Oh, Call. Bridge is
the lady
with the
I always
bow.
get them mixed up. So this is just a pure powerhouse unit. They've got Prey. We do know there's an issue right now with Granted Takedown and Heart Eater that will be addressed. So if you're like, how does this work? It doesn't. It will be fixed.
And quick work.
Yeah, so it basically, while we haven't had the final discussion of how we're going to end up changing it, expect Takedown to probably change. Corpse Eater is just far too important what they do. Shield Guard on Call is also really interesting. This is another independent shield guard you can bring to a Tharn army where they don't have a ton of those available to them, especially if you want to bring mass Tharn infantry. So I think that's going to be really, really useful.
Yeah.
But, I mean, aside from that, you're paying 8 points for just a ton of damage output.
Well, and flexible damage output, because there's a range attack in here. They have Prey, and she has Assault, so she's got a range and melee options at the same turn.
The thing I'm interested to see during this testing is whether or not people reach for them versus, say, a unit, right? Like, would you rather have the two of them, or would you rather have a unit of like the witches, or maybe pay a little bit more and pick up some blood trackers? Like, are these 8 points going to be spent for what they do? Do you feel they've got a role in a Tharn army that your other units aren't filling? Like, how are you using them, and do they seem viable? I mean, they don't have to be the most powerful, insane thing you've ever seen in a Tharn army. They just need to have a place. And when you play them, do they have a place? Pagani,
The Well of Orboros.
tell us all
That's
about
not
the
how
well
you-
of
that's not how
the
you
what?
pronounce that.
The Well of Orboros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us all about
That's
a
like
model that I am really interested
Oh
to
my
see
God, it's
put
so cool.
together.
It's so cool. Have you seen the one they have in the studio?
I have seen the one they have in the studio.
It's not
I've seen
a
the
final.
rough. I've seen
Not
the
a
rough
final.
printout.
I want to
but
see
it's
the
not.
engineering on it, on where the connection points are.
Yeah, well, it's got a lot of floaty bits.
Yeah.
Well, the concept art kind of explains to you, it tries to explain to you in 2 dimensions, what's going on 3-dimensionally. And that's why I included the picture without the floating rocks and vines, so you could see what the core structure is to it, to get an idea of what's going on.
Yeah, so
But
this model's currently Rad 0. That's a mistake.
Yeah, that's a typo.
I'm assuming it's a 6. But we got to go talk to Souls and make sure that that is correct, or check a Forber database before whatever happened there happened.
Rad Zero,
Sometimes,
Rad Zero guns are real bad.
Sometimes weird stuff happens.
But yeah, so this guy is sort of this multi-purpose support piece.
It's got a little bit for
Yeah.
basically any army you might want to play in Circle.
So in Tharn, it collects corpses for stuff, and it can hand them out. We have a question on the CID forums currently, can it give corpses to enemy models? Currently, sure. I don't know why you would.
Well, yeah,
but yeah,
here you go.
Fine, I'm sure it'll get a friendly tag. And then also, it is global, and it can give corpses to anything anywhere on the table that is intentional.
Yep.
Sweet. It can pull in a solo from out of the game,
Yeah, so
Which is
super cool.
kind of the biggest thing.
Kind of the biggest thing.
Kind
that
of
it
the
does.
biggest
And
thing.
It's always going to be useful, and it kind of lets you tailor your list for whatever you need to do.
But it is a non-character solo, so
Sure,
no
no Una.
no Morags, no Unas, no Lord of the Feast.
there's some important things about this.
Lord of the Feast is a character.
He isn't?
No.
I'm pretty sure he's FA1 in this edition. He's been a character forever, otherwise.
I think he's...
He's in there somewhere. We'll find him later.
Anyway, point being, a couple things. Costing this model is really interesting because you're able to pull a free model out of the game, from outside the game. Second, you don't have to say what that model is ahead of time. It doesn't go in your army list when you're playing a steamroller. Third, it doesn't have to match the theme force.
Nope, he's a
No, it's
character.
just a model.
A model. So you can pull out anything that normally shouldn't be in the theme forces you're playing, and that's going to be the really, really cool part, I think. And so I want to see what crazy stuff people come up with.
Yeah, and that's the thing we want to stress test the most.
Well,
because
yeah.
this model's 15 points kind of includes those
That
3,
up to
4,
7
5,
points.
6, 7 points
Yeah.
that are not there. And is that option too good? Is a Swiss Army knife solo that can be anything I want from anything in my army pushing it over the top?
So we do have people asking, like, does this ignore FA? Yeah, FA is for army construction.
Yeah.
And this is not an army construction
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
As Hungerford said, you do not have to include what model or whatever you want
Which is
with this.
why it's non-character, because if it did say character, so if you're like, I want to say character, here's what you could do. You could play an Una 2 list and gate in Una 1, and that doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
So it will have to remain non-character.
Well,
there
you
are
could
a
have
couple other
two.
things.
You could have 2 Morags in your army at that point
Well, I
too.
think he's
Like
8 points, but-
there's Sure, but there's weird.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
there's
I,
weird
I don't
stuff.
want
Two Lords
to.
of the
I don't want to
Beast.
gate in a lesser
do that,
it has
yeah.
rules that say it has to have a battle group, but it doesn't have one, and just
Yes.
that's just absurd.
So there is currently also an issue on the CID forums that somebody brought up, like you can bring in Warcaster attachments with it. They don't work. Like, well, I mean, they function in terms of game rules, but like their abilities don't work because they're not attached to anyone.
Yeah.
My suggestion is just don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But if you really want that Wilder,
Sure.
Yep.
And also, we have play tested different versions of this.
lots of different.
There was a version that had a points restriction, and this version doesn't. So there's
No points restriction.
there's no points restriction on it anymore. So just keep in mind, this ability
What have people been doing while I'm gone?
this ability might swing back and forth a little bit as the CID progresses, because this is the main thing we're looking at.
That look of horror, just
Yeah, that's because you might have noticed him mumbling. He said, "Oh, Morag's 8 points," but that's because this used to say 6 points or less.
or 7 points.
It doesn't.
Or,
Yeah.
Now we haven't,
So,
we
we're
haven't
gonna-
talked about Wake in the Stones yet, or the fact that the main theme for
Or
Yeah, so
Nexus
it does
to
a bunch of
Power.
stuff, right?
Yeah, it does a bunch of stuff, but that's the thing we want people to focus on the most.
And for testing this, you'll notice when you look at the theme force changes, Devour's Host got some changes to what its actual benefits are, but then there was just the addition of circle structures added to 2 other theme forces, so that the well goes, I believe, in all but 1, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
at this point. And you know, the Wake of the Stones ability, which gives all constructs hyper aggressive, that's awesome. I'm really excited to see what people are going to do some bones lists with that ability in this. And when I look at the well, the least impressive part of it to me is the gun.
The
right?
least impressive part of
because
you?
it's circle. They don't have access
Yeah.
to snipe or anything like
Yeah.
that. Like the gun is cool, but that's not what this thing. If you get close enough, you might get shot, right? And you might get to hand out some corpses. And it's got high explosive and all that cool stuff. But it's mainly all these other abilities it provides. It is
Yeah.
a real support structure.
Yes.
More so than I think the blockhouse and others have been.
Yeah, and it has a way to boost attack and damage rolls that does cost it health, but it starts with 32
health.
So it's got a built-in way, especially early in the game, to throw some boosted attacks out there.
So, anyway, that is all the new models in the CID.
New models.
So let's talk about some legacy models.
My girl, Morvana 1.
Go ahead. Tell me more.
We honestly really didn't do very much here besides rework the feat. Harvest went down in cost and regrowth went down in cost because it wasn't actually possible to cast all of her spells on turn 1.
Quick note on regrowth. The tac tip says the unit can activate normally. That tac tip is incorrect. Ignore that.
Yes.
They follow the rule on regrowth that says they have to forfeit their combat action.
And we will be, there's a couple other tac tips. Something went weird. There's a tac tip that doesn't even have an ability anymore. So we're going to do a pass on tac tips and clean up some stuff. We also had a really, before we do that, Florian Grote says, does bringing in any solo non-character
Sure.
in the future ruin our design space for making some massively powerful solo that can like cost 15 points or whatever?
You're just making a character.
Which, yes, so it is limiting the design space in one way, but
I mean, the answer is yes.
we have tools for that.
The answer is yes.
The answer is yes. It limits our design space because if we
Yeah.
wanted to make a 15-point FA2 Dragoon, you know, we wouldn't unless
Yeah.
we went back and changed the thing. But
Or
however,
made it not available in any of those theme forces.
Yeah. However, thanks to the power of CID and dynamic updates, if we decided we would have to do that, we can make a change to the Well of Orboros at that time.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
currently, with our plans, this works fine.
Ed
Yep.
the Mad asks, where can I find the cards/abilities for the Well of Orboros? You can find them at cid.privateerpress.com. You do need to apply for an account, and then Oz over here will accept you into the CID forums.
Actually, he's done it the last 2 days.
Hungerford will accept you into the CID forums.
All I really check is to make sure that you're a real person and that your username isn't super offensive.
I'm really glad you took that one because I was about to say your username isn't and then say something horrible, but
Don't do that.
I didn't do that.
Yeah.
This whole sleep thing is...
You are rough, buddy. You just
Have you had a baby? My God.
No.
My God. Okay, so Morvana 1.
Not that I know of.
Yeah, fair. Harvested Regrowth went down in cost. Great quality of life. Lovely. We didn't find that their cost was particularly relevant because it's not really spells that you can recast and that kind of stuff
Yeah.
very often, and it was just sort of like an additional handicap where if they do get removed, it just makes it even that much harder to reapply them besides just casting them again for a million fury. So that's what we did there. And then we super streamlined our feat, and it's not sort of like the template disaster that it used to be. where you put out all of these million little forest templates and then nothing can stand on them, and all your models fall over constantly.
I mean, that was the main reason when we were talking about
super
changing it. We were like trying to play with this feat.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Like, as someone who played a lot of Morvana 1 and Mark II, like hundreds and hundreds of games, it wasn't a very good feat,
but it wasn't
general,
fun to do.
and it wasn't fun, and it wasn't functional on the table. So we reworked it to sort of, you kill enemy models, they still explode, they don't leave behind a forest anymore, and they heal your models, which I think is super cool. Sadly, we did not get delicious fruit tokens.
And just imagine that delicious fruit tokens is in there.
Well, that's what the healing was a throwback to the delicious fruit tokens, right? It's just an immediate effect.
Yeah.
And those of you who don't know what delicious fruit tokens were, in Mark 1, Morvana's feat provided delicious fruit tokens in the forest she made that ended up healing your
that you
your
could
models.
walk into and eat.
So basically, you turn the bad guys into trees, fruit grew out of their tree bodies.
And it was delicious.
Very great
you'd walk
concept.
up, pluck their corpse fruit,
less-
and then eat it. It's very circly.
Corpse fruit. I think I had that original art from the Monsternomicon. It's got a troll on it. Yeah, that's Morvana 1. I love this caster. You should play her. Oh, sorry, actually, we forgot that regrowth. You can bring back medium bases now. That is actually a huge change.
Yeah, and that's to make her fit, and that's to make her fit better into Tharn.
Yes, my bad.
Because she thematically and for other reasons fits in the Tharn force.
Now, because Oz picked the order of these, we're going to talk about the Gnarlhorn Satyr.
It gained Pathfinder.
Great.
Guess what's going to happen? So we talked about
Shadowhorn.
this. Hold up. We talked about this. It's got to been like 6 months ago, where the first spoiler we gave about what was going to be happening to a lot of the circle stuff was that almost all the living war beasts were going to. A lot of the living war beasts were going to pick up Pathfinder, which you are finally seeing come to fruition in this CID.
Gorax is too crazy. He bumps into trees all the time.
He used to be tied to a rock.
He's like flailing around.
So a lot of these changes we're going to go
running
through, like the
trees.
Gnarlhorn, it's going to be really fast. We're just going to go game Pathfinder.
The Shadowhorn
It
changed
also
a
has
little
strength
bit.
12. Boop. By the way.
Boop.
Yep. The Shadowhorn lost Puissance. Gained elusive.
Well, it lost the animus.
Puissance.
Puissance.
But it just gained
They
beat
gave
back.
it beat back, and so we gave it beat back normally.
Yeah, but now the warlocks don't have access to Puissance. Which was super not relevant most of the time.
Correct.
But they got to say
Puissance.
puissance.
You know what's more relevant? Usually
Elusive?
Just having beat back?
Just having feedback. And also, okay, I think probably more relevant in Circle on your warlocks than having Puissance is elusive.
I mean, they already have it on the Griffin.
Yeah, this is they're bringing a Griffin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
The Pure Blood, I don't think had any changes.
The-
Again,
Pathfinder.
yeah, the Pureblood can gain Pathfinder.
Feral, drop 2 points, gain Pathfinder.
Yeah, dropping 2 points.
Beautiful beast.
Let's talk about that real
Beautiful beast.
fast.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to see there's a couple point drops, and that was, the Feral was not at that high end. We just looked at him and was like, for what he's doing, what the rest of the faction's doing, and also looking at some of the heavy War Beast and Warjack comparisons we've done recently. 18 was just way too much for this thing. But did we go too far? Let us know in testing. Is 16 too cheap for these now?
Yep.
And then continuing in the wonderful Oz order here, Tharn Blood Trackers.
Hey, this is the order the models were created originally.
It's a fantastic organizational structure.
That's
you
the
have
way
here,
this
Oz.
works. So in the future, it'll be alphabetical. I made a slight mistake in the order of this PDF.
I'm going to keep giving you crap.
It's fine.
Blood Trackers gain parry. This was one of the ones that we were concerned about with the new Nuala. We're going to talk about that a little bit more when we get to Nuala.
That's a point drop. They went down to 915.
Yep.
They picked up parry. So as we go through the infantry, let's talk about their roles. The idea with the blood trackers, they are the high def sort of skirmishing unit, and like true skirmishing unit. Like even once you sort of engage them, now with parry, they can just slip through the enemy ranks, get behind, and sort of start tearing apart support models in the back. However, when we get to Nuala, we'll talk about something that we're really watching closely, which is the assassination potential with the ability to change the prey with the mini feat to whatever you want. Like, is it too much? Can blood trackers basically just not be stopped unless you wipe out too much of the unit, and then they always get to your caster and murder them?
I mean, you can also just kill Nuala and then they can't change the prey, but
I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And we're going to talk about that theme of the role of Tharn units a lot during this thing.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the meetings that you and Souls had, especially, was there's a lot of overlap in the Tharn theme. And let's figure out what each unit's job is and really zero in on them doing that job.
Yep. So speaking of which, tell us about the Bloodweavers and what you think their role is.
The Bloodweavers didn't change at all.
they ambush, though.
They gained
can't-
ambush with the
they can't ambush.
thing force. But overall, their role versus the other units, like what differentiates them, right?
What you got?
What do we got for the role of Bloodweavers?
Yeah.
I think they're the just behind Thorn Ravagers kind of idea. So they're this, like, whereas Blood Trackers are sort of your skirmishing frontline unit, and then your Ravagers are your frontline mainstay, kind of like beefy hold ground kind of unit.
They're the rank and file almost.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then your Bloodweavers are going to be just behind them, so that like Ravagers take the charge, Bloodweavers can clear them and do that kind of stuff.
With the addition of ambush to them in the
They're-
Thing Force too, I think you'll see at least
Correct.
one unit.
They're also very toolboxy, right? Like Grievous Wounds is a great thing to have. Lifestealer can just randomly do really sweet stuff, especially when you're like healing up your other Tharn and your War Beasts and stuff. So like, they're kind of to me like a toolboxy utility unit.
Yep.
And,
of course-
they can also take on swarms of units with Bloodburst.
Correct. Yeah.
You can kill
Yeah.
guys and make
Like
5-inch
they-
AoEs that explode.
So they do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Basically, they're your toolboxy second line unit.
So then
is
Tharn-
how I see them.
Thorn Ravagers are kind of what we envision being the rank and file front line of a Tharn army. So when you think about, you know, Temple Flame Guard or Flame Guard armies, like the Temple Flame Guard would be the rank and file. We think about Exemplar Interdiction, it would be Knights Exemplar, right? The Thorn Ravagers are kind of the mainstay. Like these should be the main guys. And so what we needed them to do was to survive, to be able to get there, and then when they get there, be representative of what a Tharn army should be.
No, I do want to say Hungerford just said that we need them to be able to survive, and these guys are not supposed to be tanky.
They're not Man of War.
Like
Yeah.
they're not Man of War. They're not Incinerators.
They're not Gatorman Posse.
They're not Gatorman Posse. Like these guys, when we say we want them to survive, we want like a couple of them to make it. These are
Yeah.
berserkers, right?
Yeah.
Like these are not
Yeah.
guys in armor. These are not durable units.
But the
So-
point was, what I was going at was that not enough of them were getting there with what they had
Yes.
before.
So
Like they
we
weren't they weren't being
flicked,
delivered.
not cranked.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then that crank you're gonna see is a point reduction, so that you can take more of them. The rapid healing ability, which I think is super important for them, especially with some of the buffs you can stack on. And then they picked up brutal charge. The idea being that like it's just a base ability. Because they're supposed to be frontline missiles. You get in there, you throw them in, they get their damage done, and then these other units you take are the ones that are going to kind of be cleanup crew while everyone has to deal with your Ravagers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is a weird typo. The database did something strange, and Heart Eater's on there twice.
You guys are on fire without me.
That was all Oz, man.
No, it was not all me.
I didn't make this PDF.
Okay.
we talk
Instead
about-
of having unit
did we talk
attachments,
about
let's
brutal
talk about
charge?
the Thorn Ravager Shaman. We did. I don't think this guy really changed very much either.
Thorn Ravager Shaman?
The Tharn Ravager Shaman, I think, just changed to be like a Ravager.
I don't even think that's true.
No.
I think he literally didn't change at all.
I thought he had one change. We'll have to check him later.
All right, let's talk about Wolf Riders. Let's
Wolf
talk about what
Riders.
we said. Let's talk about what happened.
So I want to fight about this in a meeting later, but they apparently lost Backstab.
There's
Just
been
sad.
like we always say. At any moment that we talk about how things are,
Chad is here. Command 8 on the Ravager Shaman was his change.
that's what it was. I knew there was a tiny change.
Thanks,
and that's
Chad.
like a quality of life change because he used to be Command 6, but he has an aura kind of thing. So we just wanted to make him more impactful. Also,
A lot of people are asking why no rapid healing on the Shaman. If you feel really strongly you should have it, play some games with him.
Yeah.
Put in your battle reports and in your feedback, provide reasons why you think the rapid healing needs to go on him as well.
and also let us know if Hunter's Grace, no knockdown, tough male Tharn in Command 8 is too powerful.
Sure.
But yeah.
It's pretty strong.
So, like I said, sometimes we talk about models that aren't published yet, and we're talking about them as they exist at that moment.
Correct. Yes.
And what we previewed last week was that these models had backstab. But we always play playtest games. So there was a playtest game after that stream last week where the conversation went to maybe backstab is too much. And so we're testing them right now without it. But it's possible that we
Drop
remove
Weapon Master
that,
instead.
and we're like, well, Weapon Master might have been the problem, and backstab is situational, so we'll put backstab back on and take Weapon Master off.
So here's the thing: they
Yeah.
can't have both, right? Like
I don't even think that's true.
I don't think they can have both Weapon Master and Backstab. But
Sure.
we'll see.
But that's part of this process.
Yep.
Is we come to a consensus, we get your opinion, we make a decision.
So test it as it is, and for all we know, they're really good as is. So get some games in and show us what you think.
And their points did go up because they got jump and other things changed. But we talked about most of that last week.
And we even saw, like, you can kind of see the response when we first announced they had all that stuff. Like, people were like, oh my God. Like, it was like way over the top. And so, yeah, things got toned down a little bit. But we have. Yeah, well, usually when stuff comes out that's like way too strong out of the gate, like people will want to go crazy over it. But we gotta make sure it's good and like good for other people to play against.
Later. It's okay. We'll talk about it later.
The Lord of the Feast got really interesting, in my personal opinion.
Saber brings up a good question. So this is about the CID process. Saber says, can we play games and if they don't do a lot of work, argue in favor of backstab? I would say play your game, and if they don't do a lot of work, like show us in the battle report why they didn't do a lot of work. What happened? How were this incredibly fast jumping weapon master unit unable to get things done?
With dual attack.
With dual attack. And how would backstab have been the answer to make them do, like how would that have been the solution? Or is there a different solution you felt might have been more appropriate? Like, I wouldn't get stuck on backstab. Like,
correct. Yeah. So
for now, consider it doesn't exist and just play them as is and give us your full thoughts on them.
Yeah.
And when you give feedback on what you think might fix them, have an open mind about other things because maybe there's a much better, more elegant solution.
And wish listing is usually not considering all of the angles and giving good feedback. So if you come in and say, these guys are terrible, they don't do anything, I want them to have backstab. That's different than saying, this is the situation of the game, and I think they're lacking in this one category, and these 3 things might be options to bring them up. So that's the kind of feedback we want in those regards when you're suggesting changes for things, is identify a problem and then suggest some solutions to the problem. Sure. Keeping in mind that going crazy above and beyond what's reasonable is probably not something we want to deal with. Yeah. You gonna say something?
I forgot what I was going to say.
Cool.
He's
cool.
He's tired.
It's delirium.
Right now.
It's
He
delirium.
hasn't had much sleep. He has a little baby.
I do.
Okay. Back to Lord of the Feast.
Yeah, Lord of the Feast, range 2, great. We talked about this guy to death. Death Feast is the really big one for me, honestly. Especially with the...
I mean, death powered.
Death powered.
Death powered.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, both. But
Yeah.
he also has Death Feast.
Well, yeah,
But that's not the big one for me.
No, I was about to
It's
say
Death
that.
powered.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes to PAL 16, right? And then you can put the Divine Inspiration on him from the Blood Shaman, and then this guy will just murder casters and heavy warjacks and all sorts of stuff. Like, he's just amazing. Yeah, I'm excited about this guy. He also has Grievous Wounds, like, my god.
Yeah.
My god.
The White Mane had a really cool change. So the White Mane also picked up Rapid Healing.
And Brutal Charge.
Well, yeah, and Brutal Charge, like many of the other Ravagers did, not like the Shaman. Shaman's he's just old, that's all. But he picked up Veteran Leader Tharn. And Veteran
You
Leader
can't
Tharn,
say that he's old when this is literally
The White Mane.
the old
he
one.
dyed his hair white.
Oh.
He's going through a phase.
Oh, he's young, and it's just a phase.
It's more platinum blonde
Is
than
Doug
anything else.
Seacat in the
Steve
chat
Martin had white hair well
right
before
now?
he was old.
And Steve Martin's full of life and energy and has rapid healing.
Didn't
So
he die?
And Banjo.
it totally makes sense.
Pretty sure
I don't
he
know what you're
died,
talking about.
right?
I mean,
Steve Martin died?
You're delirious.
Who was it that died? No, Leslie Nielsen died.
a while
A
ago.
long time ago.
They both have white hair.
They're both going to die eventually.
Everyone is.
One has. The White Mane picked up Veteran Leader Tharn, which is phenomenal / terrifying, but just really good. I mean, obviously,
Well, yeah.
I don't think it's going to change. And also, he got countercharge base, which is great, because this is a guy that wants to hang out behind the front lines, provide that Veteran Leader benefit. Then he's just a decent combat solo, so he wants to get stuck in, and the countercharge... countercharge is such a great ability because it's a little element of control, you know.
Yeah.
Don't stand here, I'm gonna come get you, or make sure you run something into me first and engage me. Like it forces these thoughts by your opponent, and I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's
Hold
a
on,
great way
I
to throw questions at your
Doug
opponent.
Seacat in chat. Hungerford is wrong. Happy face.
What?
Thank
That's
you,
not
Doug.
the real Doug Seacat because it's all lowercase. So I don't believe you, fake Doug Seacat in chat. The White Man is young. He dyes his hair platinum blonde. He's
believe
super into Tharn metal.
Sounds a lot like grunge to me.
Don't correct me.
That is, in fact, Doug Seacat.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the real Doug Seacat.
Warble
Tharn
Stalker,
and
my
Tharn
boy.
love banjos.
Warble
just
Stalker
like
didn't change except for the
Tharn.
fact that he has access to Signs of Portents now.
And drop 2 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a points adjustment.
Learn
But I
that.
mean, like his ability, his ability didn't change. That Signs of Portents is so good. Nuala. Woo! Tell us, Pagani.
That's weird. I have Tharn Ravager Chieftain is next.
Oh, I've got Nuala next.
You're just missing a page.
Well, I feel like someone else should talk. Well, fine. I actually know what the changes are. So she actually reverted back to Mark II a lot. She picked back up quick work instead of assault for the whole unit. Like the unit lost assault in game. She's giving it quick work now. Reposition picked back up instead of Swift Hunter, which I really love how that makes this unit feel. And then the real big change here is Hunter's Reckoning, which is a once per game ability that lets her change the prey target of her unit. This was kind of the concern that we were talking about earlier with parry on the unit, where now you can't just engage them because they can walk 7 inches and throw 7 inches, so it's a 14-inch threat range, ignoring free strikes.
With your prey target.
With your prey targets, which can just do a lot of work. So,
yeah, that's what I'm
worried about here.
The potential worry here is that that's really powerful, and it's hard to prep for. Like,
well, it's just
as
hard
an
to stop,
opponent,
right? Hey, I found my new wall.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. I mean, the mini feat might be too strong. That makes me sad because I was the one that pitched it because I really like the ability. Like, prey has always been one of those things that's so cool, but then somebody can just run one model of a unit away.
Yeah.
And I hate that. And I've always wanted to see a mini feat that let you swap prey. I just thought that was a cool ability. But so I hope it makes it through, but I definitely can't be biased towards it. We're watching to see what everybody does with it, and if it proves to be too strong, we're just going to have to cut it and find something more interesting, right? Because you can't just have no counterplay against assassination. So
Yeah.
in our internal testing, it wasn't a problem that you couldn't counterplay. We found it okay enough to print it for CID, but we'll see what all of you think. You want to talk about the Thorn? The Thorn Ravager Chieftain didn't change too much. He picked up rapid healing.
He became exactly like the Thorn Ravagers. He got brutal charge on his axe and rapid healing.
Yeah, he's like all the other Tharn except for the Shaman.
Getterix dropped 2 points.
And picked up Pathfinder. Getterix dropped 2 points and picked up Pathfinder because giant wolves can walk through trees. All right, this is your girl, so I'm going to let you go off.
He has to turn his head like this, though, because that great big giant thing he wears.
Oh.
We're talking about Morvana 2 next. Pagani, is Morvana 2 your favorite Circle Warlock
No.
of all time?
Don't you know my Circle Warlock history? It's obviously Morvana 1.
Of all time.
Or Boulder 1.
What about Chromax?
Chromac 1, 2. Not 2. Chromac
1 also?
as well.
1 as well?
So Morvana 2, your favorite Warlock of all time?
Great. Yeah, honestly, not a whole lot actually changed, but what did change is pretty relevant. So Scales of Fate went back to control area from command range, which really lets you use it with melee forces now instead of really just being relegated to ranged forces, which I think is great because Circle is a primarily melee faction. Censure changed so that you cannot transfer or reduce the damage, which I think is great because now it is like take that Journeyman Warcasters and stuff. I think it's just a lot more relevant to the spell at that point. So, because before it was just very sad. Essentially. And then Carnivore is getting a change, which is going to affect other casters like Rasheth and stuff like that, which essentially lets people collect the corpses and stuff from things that are...
It affects Caliban, too.
So, yeah.
Yeah, anybody with Carnivore will get a change in the dynamic update, but
so this is definitely a relevant change. Like, it is not a non-functional change. In terms like it does change the function of Carnivore, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's not just a weird little let's close a loophole thing.
Yes, this is a change.
It broadens the spell's use.
It actually reduces the spell's use because now you can trigger things on destroy and stuff.
Sure.
But
yeah.
So the spell is kind of less powerful, but kind of more.
So should have turned left in Twitch chat is saying, please read her feat verbatim from the document. We understand that the last sentence has an error and it's a typo. We're going to fix it.
Yeah, so there's one extra word
there.
Yeah,
there's just an extra word. It will be removed.
Why would you ask that? I'm watching you.
Riphorn Satyr gained Pathfinder.
Yep.
Pathfinder.
It's a guy I got my eyes on. I think he's...
The Blood Pack got some really interesting changes. So again, talking about the roles of the Tharn Infantry, we realized that we wanted them to be almost sort of like walking artillery. We wanted them to be...
Yeah, we wanted them to be the guns.
Yeah, we wanted them to be the guns, but you have guns with the blood trackers, right? But they're very different. Like, but they're the skirmishing.
No, they have 7-inch melee.
Yeah. We wanted these to be the long range, sort of your Tharn artillery, like I said. So they picked up Arcing Fire on the bows. The range also went up to 12. They picked up Reposition 3, which is great on them. Like all of the Tharn except for the Shaman, they got rapid healing. They got a point decrease down to 10-15 to make
Chromax didn't get it.
Huh?
Yep.
Chromax didn't get rapid healing.
Well, they kind of have rapid healing because they can spend Fury to heal themselves, so there's like a built-in mechanic.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about the new Blood Pack. I want to see what people are able to pull off with them. Like, And I love the idea that they have arcing fire on these longer range, and then the reposition is just such a strong ability, and is kind of really thematic to Tharn. What, 3 of their units have it?
Wolf Riders, Blood Trackers, and
these guys, it's awesome. So
they kind of got Vengeance, which is.
I just love the idea, and I think the one thing we go through when we're building a theme force in the army around it is to make sure that it thematically feels like it's supposed to be, which is like a Khador army marching through the Thornwood, and then all these crazy cannibals just come out of the woods and are like zipping between trees and falling back in the woods and like attacking out of nowhere, sort of ambushing them. And the Tharn feel like that with their movement tricks, their speeds, and the sort of stats they've been given.
And these models are still melee models to a certain extent. We didn't take away all their melee potential. So we've still got that kind of layered, like Blood Trackers in the front, Ravagers, and then Blood Weavers and Blood Pack behind. And the Blood Pack can come in and help finish up at the end of the game with their melee abilities.
So I do want to touch on this for a moment. Grinaldi says maybe take away Heart Eater for a point reduction, question mark. So that's not really how this works. The male Tharn have not Blood Eater. That's not even a rule. Heart Eater built into their kit. So like all of the male Tharn units are going to have Heart Eater. That's just what they do. Now, when we're point costing units, that does not mean that like we added Heart Eater, it gets +1 point or something, right? Like we realize that this is a ranged unit. So whereas Tharn Ravagers may be paying more points for Heart Eater, Blood Pack is not really paying that, right? Like we realize that this is not a super relevant rule here, and that's one of the things that makes point cost so difficult in War Machine is you have to assess each of the different rules on the card, how it actually functions in the game, not just as a blanket Heart Eater is +1 point or whatever.
There's not a point cost tax attached to every
that doesn't,
ability.
That's not. If you do that, the game falls apart very quickly. So
we look at things very holistically and figure out what it's doing. And some rules are more thematic on some models and less thematic on other models.
Moiki on Twitch real fast says the Chromax are not getting any changes. That's correct. In fact, they're not even in this CID cycle. All the models you see in the PDF are the things we're interested in testing as part of the cycle that we want to see tested, and we are pretty happy with both of them.
And play games with Chromax because they are Tharn models. They're in the theme force.
I mean, feel free to play them.
We're going to do that.
We're not accepting feedback on them.
We're not soliciting feedback on the Chromax right now.
Sabre asks, Weavers have AD, why would they be in the back? You don't have to deploy as far forward as you can, and you don't have to run full speed at your opponent every turn. Free tips.
And that's also part of their flexible toolboxness. You can keep them in the back to help clean up, or you can send them in the front.
Which back
you can put them on the sides.
Talking about your back or their back?
Yeah, like they don't.
Well, their back they have ambush. Your back,
they're always in the backfield. So another tiny question I want to touch on, just so we don't forget later. Tommy Bauer asks, will Morvana 1 get a new sculpt out of this process? Sculpting is entirely different from development. So what we're looking at in this entire situation is the rules of models and making them more fun to play or making them function slightly better. When a model gets resculpted, that's because of various numbers of things, and that's the production timeline of models. So new models get created as part of the development process, and they get sculpted and made. But a resculpt is not part of this. We're not going to say, oh, we're doing a brand new thing to this model, so let's put out a new version of it. New sculpts that happen for older models happen because of other things lining up.
Sure.
That have nothing to do with us.
So Stassi89 says, I agree about the advanced deployments. Let's play some test games and show PP how the models end up in play. Great, do it. All about it. What I do want to say is if you advanced deploy all your guys, run screaming at your opponent full speed, and then they all die to random AoEs and stuff drifting on them because you didn't have anything screening in front of them, that's not really a great test.
Yeah.
Who's doing that?
I don't know. But
if
you do that, and your feedback is they died to a bunch of AoEs, my response will be like, they did. You should play around that. So that's sort of what I'm saying is because they have AD doesn't mean you necessarily have to like deploy them in the middle and run down the middle. Like you can do all sorts of stuff here. So.
And you have to consider your opponent's AD as well and turn order. Like if they have a bunch of AD stuff and they're going to go first, you might not want to put your stuff right out there to get charged and murdered.
Yes.
Okay, Brennus.
Let's talk about new Brennus for a second.
Elder Horn.
So Brennus has been a controversial model.
Tough nut to
Let's just
crack.
call it that for a while. Like people have not. He's a great sculpt, awesome looking model. He went through some changes coming to Mark III, and he has been less than popular. Now, we understand that not every model will be the most popular and will not always be the most tournament viable, but we want everything to have a place where people feel they can use it and get some value out of it. So that's what we're trying to do with Brennus. We're not trying to swing the pendulum and all of a sudden Brennus is an auto included with every Morvana. But we want people to like, yeah, that's a tool at my disposal. I might add that to my army, or maybe I'll end up, taking 2 wells of Orboros instead because I'm crazy and doing cool things. So
You're not crazy. It's cool.
it's crazy cool.
You can be crazy and cool.
Yeah. So new Brennus. First off, point reduction.
Sure.
Second, new Animus that stops channeling within 10 inches of him. Pretty cool on both your caster and him. But
Yeah.
your caster and him cast as Animus, you have this 20-inch bubble of just don't channel near me, which against certain matchups will be useful. The new Rites of Spring spell he has, which just heals everybody in his command range, which we got, at 8? So D3 damage off every living faction model?
Yep.
That's awesome. If you need your beast to go and you don't need if you got to heal spirit or mind or body on a few things, but you don't want your caster to have to go before the beast do, now you have this huge pulse, 8-inch pulse off of Brennus that just allows you to heal everyone around, which I think is
It
phenomenal.
also combos in a fun little way with rapid healing on the Tharn.
Yeah,
And
Because a
Morvana.
Tharn
And 2.
a Tharn could lose all its health, tough, rapid healing, come back with this completely.
and then not be knocked down to a variety of abilities.
Yeah, yeah.
such as
So
the
you could
Shaman.
a Tharn could a Ravager could die and still be full health.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then the new bond is that Morvana can channel through Brennus, which is crazy good. I'm excited to see what people are going to do with that. So
Yeah.
really interested to see the kind of list people are going to throw Brennus into and what kind of stuff they're able to pull off. We've played Brennus many times before the CID started, and we're happy with this. We understand that Brennus hasn't had the most love in the past, and so we're trying to fix that.
Yeah. And we do want to keep it a model that has
Calm down, bro. Jeez.
a lot of flexibility because he still has critical pitch on his melee weapon. He still has Ravaging Wind, which is a ranged spell.
That spell's so good.
And so
Ravaging Winds?
And he's also an arc node in Morvana's army. So he might play in the front of your army. He might play more in the back and be only a support model. But he's got that flexibility, and that's what's core to what we want him to be. So don't suggest changes that completely strip him of all offensive abilities or frontline positioning type stuff, and just keep him in the back to do all that, because we want him
I
to
want
be
more people
that
to
kind
feel
of
they have a
model.
reason to buy and paint a Brennus, because
Yeah.
Brennus is one of my favorite looking models in Circle. Like that sculpt, A, is huge, and B, he oozes character.
It's not that big? Okay, cool.
It's big.
It's not as big as the Supreme Guardian.
What? Your baby has made you sassy.
Sassy baby.
It's not as big as my coffee cup.
God.
Death Wolves get advanced deployment.
Yep. Which is amazing, just for the record.
Storm Raptor,
Well-
though.
And the reason we gave Death Wolves advanced deployment is because they do one thing, right? They're a 9-point character unit that just rushes in there and like fights. And so we're like, why not help them out? Because with all these other Tharn units doing their thing, like, what is the one thing Death Wolves do that these other units don't do? What is their role in a Tharn army, right? It's just to murder the
Yeah,
world.
and we had a comment
So-
a while ago in chat that was a really good comment for playtesting, and it was when we were talking about the role of Brigid and Call. I'm not sure how you pronounce her name, so I'm going to pronounce it differently almost every time. So
Bridget.
it's not Bridget. There's a
You're going
D.
with the Overwatch pronunciation. It's baguette.
Baguette.
Yeah, sure. But
Baguette and cow.
But comparing and contrasting those two models, the new 2-person character unit and this existing 3-person character unit, and is there too much overlap? Is there a reason to take either one of them? One of them's 8 points, one of them's 9 points. Like, we want the new unit, Brigid and Call, to have a role and a place in the army, but not push out the Death Wolves entirely so that you'd never play them.
Agreed.
So keep that in mind
I
when
don't
you're
think
army
that'll be a
building and
problem.
when you're playing games. and that
Everything
kind
should
of
be
stuff.
an
So-
option.
I know, it was just a comment in there that someone asked.
These guys have cannibal magic. That's the point of them.
Cannibal magic.
Smart Aleck brings up, are we aware that takedown stops? So, yes. So
Yeah.
we brought that earlier when we were talking about them. Takedown's going to get changed. So just keep an eye on that.
Yeah, we're gonna clean up that interaction in some way.
In fact, just don't play with takedown right now because it's going to stop all the other rules. So it'll
Yeah.
get changed. Don't worry.
Yeah. Storm Raptor.
Animus got an update to 10 inches instead of based on command, and
Yep.
also is cost 1 instead of 2. which is great. Picked up Deceptively Mobile. I want to say it dropped a point or something.
It did. It dropped 1 point. It was 38.
I still think we got a little bit to go in this guy.
It gains Pathfinder for quality of life.
Yeah, so that's when like a hurricane walks up and you're standing in a forest with this bird.
You lose flight.
And you lose
your
flight,
bird's like,
and then your
trees,
bird,
oh no!
Yeah, then your bird can actually still go somewhere.
Yeah.
Or like there's a wall, and then your
Trees
also
my
shut
one
down,
weakness.
So. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you completely that I think the Storm Raptor is in a good place to start the discussion about it. These are the changes to start the topic, but we're not in
there
my
yet.
opinion, not there, in your opinion, not there. There needs to be more here, but be careful with your feedback. Don't swing the pendulum. Don't be like, 28 points, ship it. Like, play some games with these changes, let us know what you think, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
SmartTech791 says Lanissa still removes both. That is true, but removing Lanissa is way different than removing a Hurricane. For example, one is a Armor 11, 5 point solo.
Yeah.
The other one is a Colossal with Arcane Shield.
Yeah. So, Bloodweaver Night Witch.
I love the
Thing's
changes.
ridiculous.
I
love
the changes, but I also I'm a little torn because I really loved the idea of the old version. It was like, I murder you, I murder myself. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah, I absolutely hated that.
But this is a much more consistent model. This was a much more consistent model. But its old theme was more like it's using dangerous magic to murder people and its own health, but getting its own health back for murdering people. So we changed this model to be a lot less random, which we do that sometimes, but sometimes we make models that are fully intended to be random. And that's what we want that model to be.
And the new attack types, the way that works out, I love the space that this model now fills and the things you can do with it. I mean, base weapon master with a magic weapon. Dispel is just awesome. I mean, you get hit by the crippling grasp on one of your units, the Thorn Ravager unit. She just walks over and she's like, boop, and just gets rid of it. Like,
You get hit by the crippling grasp.
Yeah, the crippling grasp.
And it also does line her up more thematically with the other Bloodweavers to give her attack types. So yeah.
So yeah, and I expect to actually see at least one of her in most lists. She just brings up too much utility. And then the Wolf Rider champion did keep the backstab.
Yep.
Did keep jump. So this is the one that's going to get back there and do a ton of damage.
Yep.
What I'm going to be looking for in battle reports is the Tharn Wolf Riders without backstab. People playing them, if they're playing a champion, and sort of comparing the two and what they're doing. Just specifically damage output of this thing by itself versus the unit without backstab, and sort of what's going on there.
But we also played around with the leadership. It used to have veteran leader.
Oh, it did all sorts of things. Yeah, originally had veteran leader.
Yeah, and now it has prowl, and it gives other Wolf Riders prowl, which will help deliver them to the flank, which is role-wise, like we talked about earlier, what we want them to be doing. We don't want them to be doing the heavy cav, I charge right at your front lines, I smash into you. We want them to be the quick, sneaky, get to your support models by outflanking your army.
Yep.
So
And applying pressure.
allowing them to hide in the woods from being shot at is part of what her new job is.
Now, one thing to note is with the Devourer's Host Theme Force changes, it's for every 20 points of Tharn, you get a free solo or command attachment. There is no base requirement on that, so these...
It's 20 points.
Yeah, every 20 points. You get a free Wolf Rider champion for every 20 points of Tharn you bring.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's dope.
that's real good.
But
I expect that to be I expect everyone to be running.
I'm gonna give the standard warning. Don't buy models based on
Correct.
CID rules. Don't rush out and like stock up on a bunch of models that you think are going to be the most amazing combos in the entire world based on what's happening on these pieces of paper. Because
But do
things-
buy a whole bunch of Wolf Riders because they're dope models.
Sure. But be careful about those kind of purchases and then us changing something that tweaks what your intent was with that army build.
Cheddar K-Man says, but what if you own all of the models already?
Well, then you're way ahead of the game.
Are they all painted?
Also, you don't own all of them already
Paint your models.
because Iona, Wells, Orboros, there's more models coming. You can own all the models temporarily, but you'll never own them all on an infinite timeline.
So let's get to a couple questions before we wrap this up. Saber says, is the Will of Orboros going to be Bahi? Again, Saber, we in development we're not involved in the production side of things and how things are made. So whether or not the well is Bahi or normal distribution, I don't know.
Zimmergus asks, can you take the free Lesser Warlocks? No. That's not intentional and will be fixed.
I don't think there's any lesser warlocks you can take in Devourer's Host anyway, right?
I mean, according to them, the wording says you can take the minion ones for free.
Oh.
So, no, it'll be fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it, bud.
Yeah.
What happened to Loki and Devourer Host? I don't know. I haven't been here in a month.
Go on.
No, that was it. And before the entire Discord channel starts yelling about tough no knockdown, they already had that.
Yeah.
We didn't add it.
Yeah, that existed. That existed. We did broaden the ways to get it and that kind of stuff a little
With
bit.
one caster, yeah.
Well, we also enlarged the command range of the model that was giving no knockdown. But that was an ability that existed already.
What role do you want to see the Raptor in, the Storm Raptor in? Well, given the other Colossal, the Wold Wrath has a very defined role. I mean, it's slow, it hits really hard, it boosts magic around it, and it's got a decent electrical attack. The Storm Raptor we want to see be the far more mobile one that if you are building any sort of electrical-based attacks, which you've got the Krugers, you've got the Shamans, you can boost that a little bit, but its main thing is supposed to be the fast Gargantuan. That's pretty self-sufficient and can just get up there, tear some things apart, and now with Deceptively Mobile can reposition effectively.
I actually disagree with you there. I don't think that thing should be engaging in melee pretty much ever.
I mean, getting up there, attacking and backing up.
Yeah, I think the goal is to shoot stuff, not attack.
And it's not.
And it's got a great shot, but I disagree. I think with 3 initials and it just being the power it has, like I'm not going to send it in on an enemy conquest or a victor, but I'll send it in on an enemy heavy and then back away.
Oddly specific. Back away.
And
3.
it doesn't say pew pew. It says bazap. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Just want to clarify.
Correct. Cheers.
Blood Trackers plus play plus Skyfire equals POW 14 Electro Leaps.
Sure. Have fun.
Cheers.
Good luck. I like it.
And
That's also Kruger 1. Just for the record.
Terrence Johnson says, is there any concern with the Death Wolves with their corpses and then Brennus healing them?
No.
Oh.
No. I'm not worried about that. Cool.
Yeah.
We Gucci? Could
yep.
be Gucci.
I think we're good. So, all right, everybody, go off to the CID forum, cid.privateerpress.com. You can check out all these rules yourself. You can start doing your battle reports and start posting your thoughts in the theory and list building section. Battle reports are, in my opinion, more important.
They are. Yes.
Go, play games, report, and then give your thoughts about what happened, what worked really well, what worked too well, what didn't work well enough. So we've got till September 19th on this. 17th on this right now. So get started. You know,
Unless Pagani can't count because he's delirious.
it happens. Also,
That's right.
quick reminders, we'll be streaming tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific, for Get Your Paint On with Brendan Roy instead of Dallas, doing some painting. That's part of our normal streaming schedule, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, always at 10 a.m. That's weekly Rumble, Dev Chat, and Get Your Paint On. And for some models that you're running out of time to order, the Supreme Guardian pre-orders are still up till September 10th. Store.privateerpress.com. That's through Black Anchor Heavy Industries. You do get a Black Anchor patch, which will make you look badass if you have
Not a
one.
clothing patch, not an eye patch. There was some
Correct.
confusion earlier.
Correct.
I mean, you could put a strap on it, stick it on your face.
Is there really confusion?
No.
It was in the chat.
And then the new mini crate cycle just started. Lady Rose Riding Hood is this month's model, and if you sign up for the 6-month subscription this month or any other month in this cycle, with your next mini crate model, you will receive the Alexia Handmaiden of Death. Those are both available until September 19th.
I also want to reiterate one tiny thing before we're done, because we are almost done.
Yeah,
we had a question really early in the chat about
I'm hungry.
the timing of the dynamic update, which is what we call the thing when we make these rules live.
No.
So the dynamic updates are targeted to be a certain amount of time after the close of a CID, but we don't ever tell you what that is because various other things change that. Because like coming up is the World Trade
Center.
The World, it does say WTC, it always throws me off. The World Team Championship is happening really soon. And people's lists are locked for that. And if we put out a dynamic update the week of that event, it will throw everything into chaos that all these people have been preparing for and traveling halfway across the world for.
It would be a real jerk move of us to do that.
It would be very odd.
It's happened in the past, and we realized it was not something we wanted to do. It was never done intentionally or maliciously. But now we're very much aware and paying attention to it. And
we can't prepare for every single
you
convention.
just point yourself and give a thumbs up. My God.
We can't prepare for every single
We did
convention
before you were here.
that exists in the entire world. We can't be like, well, we won't put out the dynamic update because 10 people are playing
Your babies made you so
somewhere in
sassy.
Sweden this weekend. But we do take into account big events that are happening. And we also can sometimes have delays with design or the website or other things. So we aim at a certain amount of time, a couple of months after the close of the CID, but we don't ever promise a date until we're very close because things can change.
Stuff happens.
Yeah.
That'll be the non-chick
It's
way of
fluid.
saying it.
It's done when it's done.
Yeah. And sometimes it's done before you see it, but it's not ready for other reasons.
It's
yeah.
fluid.
So-
It's done.
So expect
when it's
to
done.
see these changes become live in a couple of months, and we'll give you more specific dates when it's closer.
Yep, but until then, go to the CID forums and start testing now. We're excited to see what you have to say. Goodbye, everybody. Take it easy. We love you.
Hashtag Sassgani or
Sassy Gani.
Sassy Gani.
I
Hashtag
don't like
Sassy
how
Gani.
that rhymes.